Good morning, good morning, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rosalina, our channel with Ji Chang Wook and Ate Mactan. Can you hear me all right? Let's shout out. Nanay Pasita, good morning, Nanay Pasita. Alora Irene, good morning, good morning sa inyong lahat. Alora mga aloro. Good morning, good evening sa inyong lahat. Hope you guys have a good night's sleep. Diba? Ang sleep natin masaya, ang wake up natin masaya din because it's new every morning. Yan ang sabi ni Lord. It's the blessing, it's new every morning. All right. Welcome everyone. And sa ating lahat na let me see, BG dyan. Don't be shy to comments. Welcome tayo. Mayroon tayong bisita ngayon. So bisita natin, it's interview with Mr. Steven Batten. So it's gonna be exciting, no? Ang interview natin. Every gising is a blessing. Yes, Alora Irene. Amen tayo dyan. Yes. Every gising is a blessing. Yes, amen. Ayan. So, let me see a little bit. Ika muna. Ayan. So, mga aloro, mga manang, mga manoy, mayroon tayong bisita. We have our interview with Mr. Steven Batten. So, hope you stay and hope you ask some questions, so that we can enjoy what it is with Mr. Steven Batten. So, let me give you a brief message of what is really who is Steven Batten. Steven Batten, he is, his parents is a Christian, okay, pastor. And let me see, I believe he follow a footstep of his dad, So, and then he wrote a book. So, I am being, I'm curious. So I'm curious about his what you call this book, his book that he wrote. So let me give you a quick of story of who Steven Batten is. He wrote a book, guys. The title of his first book is From Challenging to Champion. So the content of his book is how to overcome your stumbling block to your victories. So don't forget to, and don't be shy to comments. And maya-maya darating siya. Tinanong niya ako anong oras. Sabi ko, bigyan mo muna ako ng half an hour sa to greet you guys one another. Kaya wag tayong mahiyang mag-comments, ah, magtanong. Good morning, Aloro, Totski. Good morning sa iyo dyan. Ayan, so, at the same thing, so walang mag-change dito. It's the good thing is we meet a new friend. So we expand our community, our YouTube channel, our platform dito. So ito si bisita natin to interview him. Are you guys excited? Ha? Bigyan natin a big clap hand si Steven ha, maya-maya. So, ang content sa libro niya is How to Overcome Your Stumbling Block. So, yan si ang story niya. And we will ask him um, ano siya mismo magbigay sa atin. Binigyan lang ko kayo ng a short overview of him. Okay? Steven Batten, ano siya, is uh, in the reclamation industry, and this spills over into his deep spiritual life. Yung sa spiritualidad niya, doon niya na more na natutunan niya sa buhay niya na hindi natin alam ano ang pinagdadaanan niya. And then at that time na nag-decide siya na ito na ang kailangan niyang isulat ang buhay niya kasi may naranasan siya katulad din sa inyo, sa akin may naranasan tayo. So we seek God more sa ating spiritualidad. And then, good morning, Eileen Cruz, official. Thank you so much. And Sis Louis Jusay, thank you so much. And Alura Anaji, good morning. Thank you so much. So guys, English or Tagalog, question kayo and pakinggan natin ano ang mga sagot ni Steven during sa interview. Kasi this is Rosalina, our channel with G Chang Wook and Ate Mactan's channel. And this is the first interview of this channel that I'm going to host. Okay? I'm hosted this interview because Steven is feel comfortable with me to when I ask him, can I interview you? And he did not hesitate. So he said, sure. So meaning to say, he's willing, guys. He is willing to share what is his faith in God. So kaya I'm excited also na makilala ko siya. So what gives him the desire of this book, you know. So, doon natin malaman kung ano ang mga experiences niya. So, paano niya na-overcome yung mga obstacles, mga circumstances, mga stumbling block in his life. And so, yan ang natin. Yan ang pag-usapan natin. So, sa pagka-ngayon, nandito ako, sa itim, puti, pula. Saan kayo dyan? Mga Alora, saan kayo? Itim, puti, o pula? Or ako na? Di ba? Alora na G, Alora Irene. Alora Totski. So, maganda ba ang tulog ninyo? And I hope yes is the answer. All right. Ayan. So, we have 7 million viewers in the house. Don't be shy to comment. Just say, hey, what's up? I'm listening, but I don't feel like talking, but just listening. So, it's fine too. It's okay. You are welcome. You guys are welcome here. Kasi, because of this interview, it's because of this interview we can share our knowledge and also we can learn from him. As same token, he can learn from us. So that's the main thing. So this platform is we welcome everyone, and when it comes to spirituality, faith, talk about Jesus Christ, talk about anything and everything that can encourage and to inspire us, why not? Right? Everyone's welcome. So sure. So para may matutunan tayo sa isa't isa sa atong bisita and siya din matuto din sa atin. So ganyan lang. We just exchanges, you know? Parang Christmas gift yan. Pasko, Pasko, Pasko na naman uli. Ayan. Ninang Shane, where's my pamasko dyan? Yan lang guys, yes. Welcome Shane Raza. Thank you so much for coming. Ayan, yan ang A natin. So, are you guys excited? Because I am. So but hindi ko bigyan ng mahirap na mga tanong because wala naman kasi mahirap na ang tanong ko. Kinukopya ko lang din ito. Oh, di ba? Ganun lang yan tayo, guys. Ganun lang tayo, mga alora, aloro, mga yes, mga manang natin dyan. Manang manoy, yes. So, ganun lang yan. So, I'm excited and I hope we can get more viewers so that the viewers can interact with the host and the visitor, you know, the guest. All right. So, yeah. So it's exciting. So ano kaya mga alora ko diyan? Comments kayo diyan. So what is while we're waiting for him? So what do you think that you would like to ask Steven? So in that comment section, uh, aloro. Oh, yeah. So isulat ninyo diyan. So what do you think before he comes up, I would like to know you guys. Oh, mga alora-aloro diyan. Gusto kong malaman kung ano ang gusto ninyong itanong sa ating writer, ating author of the book. And the book is all about from challenging to a champion. So, ano kaya? A pleasant morning, Alora Mami Ciao Bella. Ayan, Alora Morris, andito na. Ayan. Alright. So, guys. So, yes. Let's enjoy and let's relax and today, Alora Irene, today I can hear because ay, magamit na talaga itong headset ko. Makarinig na ako kasi may magtanong or may mag-answer. Ako palang magtanong. Ayan. So, ano ang mga gusto ninyong itanong sa ating guest natin? So, ika. Sabi ni Alora Nadji, let me flex that. Anong edad siya nag-start magsulat ng mga inspirational messages? Paki-English na lang, Alora, kung akong English maniman lang. Sige. Yes, that's a good question. At saka, ito lang. Mga alora, aloro, natin dyan, mga manang, mga manoy, there is no dumb question, okay? So I give you the assurance na walang stupid or mali na question. Because kung hindi kayo magtanong, so meaning to say you know all. You know, nagpabilib ka na alam kong lahat. You know, so there's no stupid, there's no dumb question. Ayan, so andito na ang bisita natin. And guys, don't go away ha. My question is, Alora Maris, ayan. So guys, bigyan natin ng big welcome ni Steven andito na. Hello Steven, good evening sa iyo. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right. Am I too loud in your ears or just fine?
You're fine.
Fine. All right. So, how's your day?
My day was good. Just been working in the yard and doing some things, and met a friend that this morning to get some stuff from him. He's doing good, but like I say, he was under the weather, but he's all right. He's got medicine, so he's taking and he's doing good.
So they welcome you, sabi dito ni Maris gives you a big clap hands to welcome you and to Anna, Alora Anna G is hello Sir Steven and then si Shane Raza, hello and si Maris Calmoren, si Alora Maris, ayan. So then si June Pearl, sabi niya, you look genius, Steven. Ayan. And dito si Irene. Oh, marami, I'm sorry. They have questions. But then before you answer them, I I I want you to say to them, to our viewers right now. Go ahead, Steven.
Oh, where you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, and yes, this is Steven, guys, and he wrote a book of From Challenge to Champion. So let's have interview him. So um, maybe Steven answer you hello. So I'm just speaking for him on his behalf.
Hello, everyone. I mean, I can't see the chat because you know I just I don't really when somebody's interviewing me, I don't really look at the chat. It's just something that I concentrate on what the host wants to ask me, because that's what's very important. Um, and also, I mean, I can answer any question. Like I say, my name is Steven Batten. I was born in Lynchburg, Virginia, Liberty University, where my dad went to college to be a pastor, but he also is a funeral director as well. Because he said that, what a perfect place to work for in a funeral home because you're gonna be going that place soon if you get bad. But he's also a pastor. He wants to change people's lives. He can't change them. God will, but I know what he was talking about. If people was thinking about what he was doing.
All right, just give me 1 second there. Stop right there. Uh, to our viewers, sabi ni Steven, lumaki daw siya sa Virginia, Leesburg. And then sabi niya, I would like to translate, even though they understand English, but to make the excitement of your story, of your book, and the way, and view yourself, so to get to know you well, all right? And ang papa niya, pastor, and then also nagtrabaho din sa funeral home. Kasi maganda daw yung magtrabaho sa funeral home dahil sila din ang parang kung ready na ilibing yung mga patay, so sila ang nag parang they're the one giving the service, sila ang doon magdasal, something like that. So this is just not a really tight question, Stephen. We can just relax because the more you be uptight, the more you be thinking, overthinking, and then you'll be out of topic or out of question. So this is just relax. There's no like right or wrong here. All right. So
Yeah,
so
all right.
uptight because the more you become uptight, our viewers will be like, what is that? So I don't even really understand well because of the way it is. So let's have just also that the interaction with our viewers. All right. Yeah. So don't be scared. It's just me. Hey. So yes, Steven. So that's good. That you started with that introducing yourself, and thank you for that. For the advance answer of your about your father. As a matter of fact, I read your book a little bit. Not read because I don't have it. I just pull up from the Google. So what is it really that your book's about? So as um, as I read about your how to overcome stumbling block. So first of all, so I want to ask you something. So um, What inspired you to write a book? And what's the book's all about for the first time or whatever that you started on? What inspired you?
Well, I have a friend, a very he's a he's a bishop. You can put a title on any like pastor or whatever. You call
Mhm,
yourself a bishop. You call yourself whatever you want. I think bishop is just more of a more strong title for some people. Um,
mhm.
I consider I like the pastor word because to me, a pastor's a pastor. You're going to carry more legacy on that name. Um, but to me, it don't matter to me. Um, I went to his church. I've been knowing this guy's Bishop Paul Warner. Check is his name. I've been following. Matter of fact, he's on Facebook. He also goes to churches everywhere. And so, how I met him was about in 2007, and ever since I've been following him. And because I got out of my home church, I said enough is enough. I'm not going to be used just sitting here in the bench. You know what I'm talking in the bench. That means in the church. It's just sitting there.
Oh,
So
just give me 1 second for that. So during that time, you're not in the ministry of youth pastor or music ministry. You're not a ministry for these young ones. You just be as a member at that
yeah,
time.
I was a member. I wasn't being used at all in my home church at all.
Uh-huh.
I was in the singles apartment, but the singles apartment broke up at that time. My grandfather died in that church, and my grandma died, so I left. And that's the reason why. And my dad said that's because there was nothing to go by. There was nothing, my dad said sometimes God will call you to other places to help out because you were called. And I was called to his ministry, and I was helping him out. We were passing out flowers, getting people to come in the door. On Thursday nights, he had teens night, and he had like 500 teenagers coming out, and I
Uh-huh.
was helping them out on that.
All right.
And, and so I took a class about 3 years ago, in the right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I took a course, a ministry course through him, and I asked him, what can I do to how I could do this course. And he says, I'll tell you what, just take the course. I'll give you all the books that you need to do. I had to buy all these books because
Okay,
if
just give me 1 second to that. Hold to your thought. So this church of yours that you grew up while your grandma and grandpa went to that church also. So meaning to say you're familiar with those members there and the pastor. Is that correct?
well, the pastor died. He died about in 2020,
Right.
2019,
But you
around
grew
there.
up in that church.
But I grew up in that church,
Uh-huh.
um, and a lot of my friends wasn't there because they left. They got married and all that good stuff. They got kids, and I said,
So you
you know,
left. Uh-huh.
so I left because I didn't. I would feel uncomfortable. When you feel uncomfortable, it's time for you to move on. It's just time for you to go elsewhere. So I was searching for churches. I don't know how many churches I went into. I've probably been into a lot of. Oh man, you talking about? I thought I went in a church. I thought I was going to get knocked down. I thought, oh, so Lord Jesus, I ain't going to be going in that church no more.
So
And
what inspired you to write this book? This book, you be inspired because you move out in that church and you found another church and there's a pastor helping you. Is that what are you saying?
no, I searched. I kind of stopped going to church to the home church because a lot of the people that was leaving the church
Uh huh.
was kind of like, what else to do? There's nobody not, you know, see, I was a single guy, so what do you think about a single guy when you don't see nobody in the classroom and stuff. So I just said, and then when he asked them if you want to help out, it says, "Oh, you're not qualified." I said, "Y'all not qualified." Jesus didn't say that.
So
Every,
you feel disappointed. Is
yeah,
that what I'm
yeah,
hearing right now? So
yeah.
you
So,
feel disappointed, you move out, and you don't wanna be like a flower chair that when the pastor need you, they pick you. But if other things that you want to do, you're not being picked. Is
yeah.
that okay? Go ahead.
So I decided to go look for another place to worship, and I was staying in a cabin
Mhm.
from a church, the home church that I knew. Well, he was my Sunday school teacher. Matter of fact, I was renting out the cabin. I've been friends with him ever since. As a matter of fact, I've been I, day one right now. I'm working for him on side jobs, installing floor covering like hardwood and stuff. And that's where I met this guy because of one invitation. His wife come up in a van with his kids and gave me an invitation, got a postcard about his church in a skate ranch. Why did they put a church in a skate ranch? Because they knew how to reach teenagers. They knew how to reach that. So when I went to that church and got connected with him, I knew exactly that's where I needed to be.
So that's when okay, all right. So that's where the new pastor or that church there introduced you. All right.
Yeah, because he challenged me about last year in 2019. He challenged no 2018 because 2018 he didn't have his church no more in the skate rinks because they were going to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to get out of there. He went to movie theaters. That didn't work because no one ever showed up. Um, but it is like I say, everybody is kind of it is tough in ministry because you have to really, really get out there and bring the people in. But when
Mm.
you got churches and churches and churches that builds a church and it's all organization kind of part thing, it's kind of tough. But it's not really tough. You just got to go out there and bring the people in. Um, but he challenged me. He says, "Son, you passed this course. Why don't instead of me giving you a certificate, because a certificate ain't nothing. But this book is something that you can fall back home." He challenged me to write this book. It took me like a year and a half to get this book completed. And but the joy of when you accomplish something, the smile on my face
Yeah,
when I
just hold on to that thought. Yeah, because you were gonna be going that question also. So uh, this is like a ping pong. So now there's another question here from Anna G. What age when you start writing a book? Uh, when that inspirational message? At what age?
well I was I was in the 40s when I started writing this.
And how long did it take you to finish that one book?
It took me a long time because your first book is always the hardest. And once you get used to writing, you want to write and write and write. And matter of fact, I'm working on my second book. I'm working on another book. God has given me some.
So meaning, okay, the first question what inspired you. So the pastor of your second church that inspired you to write the book, and now the second is question is how old or how young are you that you wrote that? So when you were 40s. So okay, that thank you for that, Stephen, for sharing your story, and there's another question I wrote. It's how did you come up with the title? There we can
Well,
go to your story.
I met my bishop and we sat down at a restaurant one day. And after, because it was kind of like a reward for me, we was at the restaurant and he said, "I want to ask you something." He says, "Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I could help you write your book." And so he says, "You could change if I get you to get your first cover. You don't like it, you could always change whatever you want. You can use Amazon, you can use any, but you got to pay for it. That's anything you do. But in Amazon, it's free. Most of the time, they do some free stuff. Just use the free things that they use." But he did the first book I had. He looked at the cover and said, "If you don't like this book because it ain't glossy enough, you can always change it." So, but he said that. So that's how he asked me, and that's when I just took off with it, and ever since I was writing every day, I was in my own, like own secret place. I said, "I don't want nobody to disturb me because anybody disturb me was going to get the Holy Ghost revival when they get in the room." Yeah.
So I understand you as a writer, and you need to focus and concentrate at the same time. There's a Holy Spirit's guiding you to write. Yes, and you don't want to be disturbed. That's why I laugh, because that is really true. So once you started to write, you continue for hours after hours until the next day, or you just like in 5 hours writing, and then you have to stand up and then walk or something to recuperate or something, to receive another thought of yours.
It took,
You
I
manage
took
all
a time of every hour. I did it every hour and I stopped,
that. Uh-huh.
took a break because sometimes you just need a break, and then it, and then you, and I come right back at it. Then I kind of rest the day. Let me do some things. I got to do some things. So I step out, come back. Sometimes I come back into it, add a little bit, kind of read it myself, see if it sounds good or something like that. And I said, I wish I had somebody to proofread because there's nobody that around here that could do it for me. So I got a person now, but the good thing about it is that, so that's where it all began. I mean, to be honest with you, it took me a long time. It took a year for me to really get
A
this book
year.
out. The thing is trying to get it with the Microsoft, because everything is in Microsoft when you're writing a book, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything is lined up good. Um, and just make sure everything is presentable, and you
Uh-huh.
know, there's, because the most important thing is I never thought that I even beat my dad on writing a book. My dad never wrote a book yet, but I'm the one that took a stand because you know now my dad's kind of like, now I need to, blah blah blah. But so it's like I took, everybody always asks me this question: why did I write this book? Why?
Oh, so why? I want to know too. Why did you write that book? And I want to find out that you said about overcoming obstacle or something like that. Let me see. Overcoming. What did you say here in your?
How to overcome the stumbling blocks to your victories.
That is how to overcome your stumbling block. How to overcome your stumbling block
To your victories.
to your victories.
Well, because I've been challenged all my life. I've been challenged. I used to be in these classes called, um, I don't know what you call these classes. I think it's called, they used to call them disability classes or whatever. Because I was in the LSD classes. That's what I was learning. Um, I forgot what the LSD classes are. I was a slow learner. That's all I was. There was nothing wrong with that because
Mhm.
there was a lot of people at that time. Of course, now the technology now I didn't have that in when I was in the 95 when I in the 90s. It was no way. And
Mm-hmm.
and but now the kids has got it made now. I mean, everything's on a computer. Oh Lord, I mean,
Yeah, the new millennial, the millennial, yes. Even
so
at a year old or a year old, they already know how to to hold a cell phone or to open.
and I
Yes,
and I just heard something today on the radio today that they're going to start in from from first grade to the first grade all the way up to sixth grade, learn how to write cursive. I said, "Oh Lord, have mercy."
it should be because Filipinos are like that. It in the Philippines we are taught that writing in a cursive and also not in cursive, so that we know how to balance. But yeah,
Yeah,
and
but but that the well, I mean, you have to ask me some more questions. I'll give you some.
all right. So, what is the most challenging for you as a writer?
Everything is it takes timing. The timing has to be right.
Mhm.
Um, and you have to write everything down when you hits it into your mind. So when you
Mhm.
write everything, you go back over it and you blend it in so it makes sense to people. And it's not an easy process. It's easy to write it down, but
Mhm.
it's that easy to put things in the right category.
In the right column. Wow, it's
And
very challenging. That's the part that you are being challenged.
it's like you have to block out everything, everybody. Um, you might notice that somebody, of course, you know how it is. You get your notification on it. Somebody's going live. I said, "Oh, I can't be there. I gotta be here." Sometimes you just have to stop. Um, sometimes you can't. I mean, this is all. I mean, I learned this from my dad also. Sometimes you gotta quit hanging around with friends that you used to hang around with.
Mhm.
That all they do is party. So you got to start. That's one thing about me. Um, I'm all the time reading the word. I'm not perfect. Nobody's not perfect.
Nobody's perfect. That's correct. Uh-huh.
And
When you were a teenager, you would like also to enjoy with friends. You go out with friends.
yeah,
But it's different upbringing of yours because your father as a pastor. So I believe that's why it's the strictness of your dad being implemented there. Am I correct?
yeah, and plus, I mean, all my grandparents. Well, I got one grandparents left, but she lives in Maryland, and then my cousins that's around in the Maryland area that and one in North Carolina here, and I always talk with them every day. I got cousins in Florida. I have to
Uh-huh.
text them and see how they're doing. Why do I check on my family? Because I care.
Yeah, that's correct.
You know,
Yeah.
and I said that's just like when I'm at the flea market because I'm the minister at the flea market. Just about. Well, there is a pastor that he started a church up there in the flea market, but that's like you ever thought about 30-minute word? I don't want a 30-minute word. I want a word that can knock me down to the ground. That means I want something that hits me hard.
Me,
If a pastor was preaching something,
mhm.
I want them to preach me the word. Preaching it, not something, a quick message. No, I want that. Like what my bishop told me, there's some churches that they want a quick 30 minute to get to the buffet line. But you need I like one that's just shoot me in the gut so it can quench, so it can hit me hard enough so I can learn from what he's talking about.
Mhm.
And see, my bishop, he breaks it down into a parallel form. And I learned from him because he said if you break it down in parallel form, people will always understand.
Mhm. Yeah.
I learned that from my dad. I learned that from him. I learned that from other pastors that I know. I said, man, this is just right up my alley. I mean, ever since ever since I mean, in the pandemic, my bishop wrote 30 books in the pandemic. And
Wow.
but he likes to write. He's more than I am because I don't have time to just sit down and write all the time. I got
Mhm.
to be out doing things, or my mind will be going crazy. Um,
So,
that
okay, thank you for that. So, like you said, you don't want, well, this to deliver a message that you don't want a quick something like a drive through. We call it drive through. So, have you ever changed your character or your the way you deliver messages instead of making just a quick fix or quick talk or quick message? Or when you share or preach, how long is uh, when you deliver? How long do you stand there and share the word of God?
I have opportunities. I have spoken in, of course, colored churches. A bunch of I've been into black
Oh,
churches
okay. We don't go that because that's
because
kind of
you know,
racial. So we don't bring that kind of comments here. Well, I do appreciate it, and with due respect, we see
I don't.
people as our stewardess of God. We don't look at their color. Okay.
I've been
And
I've
we
been
don't look at other pastors that they are preaching so short because they are going to the fast food or buffet. We don't do that because as like you, as a minister, you called yourself minister, you already judging people. So, but let's move on to the next question because we don't go that far. We don't go that way. And let me stop you right there. So let's talk about your book because
yes.
you, is there a time in your life that you're giving up or losing your faith? Like you talk about in your book about faith.
Mhm.
So tell me or tell us about faith, your experience wise, not other people, not other pastors, you as a Stephen Batten. Can you tell me and can you tell me if there is any time in your life that uh, giving up or losing your faith?
I almost lost everything, and I almost lost everything in churches today. I almost lost
Lost faith or lost church or lost people? Losing faith. I'm
faith
asking.
in. I'm almost say I almost lost the faith in God at one time,
Mhm.
but
And
then
how
God
so?
woke me up and says that somebody spoke to me, a person, when I was at a flea market, woke me up to the door and said these words to me. He said, "Don't worry about what people say.
Mhm.
Just worry about what you want to do in your life.
Mhm.
If you want to change, change
Mhm.
and move forward." So after that, it really woke me up to get back in to to the into the back into the Word of God, back into plug in, get back into church. So I realized that I know I was running, and I think we all kind of. I think a lot of people has been there running, running, just kept figure out where to go, and that's with me. And but then I realized that I was brought up, and then sometimes I was like, um, you know, you know, my dad was kind of like telling me, he said, "Son, you know exactly where you need to be."
I heard I'm listening to you. I've heard so much of your dad, and well, in that situation of uh, you almost losing your faith, is that you went back to God, or someone that helping you to be back with God to bring back your faith?
Well, I'm always just lost to believing in myself, to be honest with you. And and that's when that guy woke me up and said, "Hey, don't give up, keep going." And he says it's like a race. He says you want to go to that finish line.
So when you start all that in your early years, that you losing faith or giving up in your life, or the book that you write, I'm just basing on the book.
I, I did really, in here in this book that I write, it was really the book all itself is really um, talking about believing in yourself and overcome your challenges in life in general. And I'm only giving what I call a little bit because I didn't want to get it too much where people don't understand. So I just want to shoot to the point. Most of the time, it's talking about believing, having faith in God, and having it's just a little bit of a challenge. This is sort of a small book. This ain't a big book. It's almost like a side of a pamphlet kind of like thing, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
The book, I don't like really big books. I like little small books that can just hand in to somebody and let them read it and let them grasp what I'm saying. Um, I'm not a person where um, we're all in God's eyes. When we're all in God's eyes, and I always tell people this. I said it's not how you did it; it's what did you say.
Mm-hmm, that's correct. Yeah. So writing a book, like you said, you don't want to give it there in one, and you don't, because how people is. So you already is like some of your words there is kind of negative, that you don't want everyone know about how faith, how God, Jesus Christ bring keep your faith stronger.
See,
Eh,
I've got a copy in my hand right now that I'm looking at some of the things
uh-huh.
because I have to have a copy in my hand just to make sure everything is right.
Right.
And of course, I have to work on some things too. I don't know why Amazon is doing the way it's doing, but one of the chapters that are really inspired me to write was future, your future. Faith is something that we have in you automatically. If it's just like a kid believing that they want to set a dream
Mm-hmm.
to be a basketball player, a football player, whatever they want to be. If you take that faith and use it for what God wants you to be, not what somebody else wants you to be. You can't be a Michael Jordan. You sure can't be a Mariah Carey or whatever. I mean, you can't be the pros, but be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And a
Yes.
lot of it's just like when I'm looking at all when I go into and I've been so much churches today, and I have been to so many churches today, and it's all about a lot of them are. I mean, some of them, not all of them. I'm not gonna put all of them. I'm gonna say some of them talks about, oh, I need money. I said, don't we all? And and but I say this, them churches right there that has a lot of people, you might not even see all them people. But when I go to my dad's church, that is a small church,
Mm-hmm.
I feel love. I feel the affection that I need. I never had that in other churches that I went to. Even my bishop church, he only had 15 people in his church the last several Sundays. Of course, now he's moved out of that building and now he's searching for another building because he's been traveling so much, so he can't do a lot of things. He's like a traveling evangelist. Um, but but you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's tough for me to say. It's hard for me to say that or am I going to write more books? Well, I'm writing my second one right now, but I ain't finished it yet. It might be Christmas before I even put that out.
Right.
You
And
know,
yeah,
because
I have a question because hearing from you, you keep saying this church is better than my dad's church. That church is this. Don't you know that church is us? Is
yeah,
something you?
yeah,
So you cannot blame other churches because you is the church.
yeah,
So,
I
so
understand.
bringing this kind of, I see or I hear that some kind of your disappointment of disappointed to some people, not the church. Because if you talk about church, it's you yourself. It's a church. So it seems like you're judging yourself and looking at the people, and you're not
No,
happy.
no, no, I'm not judging the church. I'm just saying when I go to see a lot of the, well, I don't like just like I say, I always like to visit sometimes the church and I sit down and I listen to if it don't like if I visit a church, I don't really say that this is not for me. Sometimes if 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 I'm like now I'm gonna be at my dad's church now until my bishop will find another place. But right now I'm just helping my dad out a little bit here and there. But when I what I'm saying is I don't want to. When I go to churches, I look at what the pastor is talking about, not what the Lord has laid him on, because a lot of the churches I visit and know, I've been knowing these pastors ever since. It's just that they're hurting. A lot of the churches that I know, they're hurting because of financial. Um, think it was part of the pandemic, um, but it didn't really hurt them that bad. It only hurt them just a little bit, and then they came back, and they did quite a lot of the church did. Um, so it's kind of like but now it's back in action. It's you know, I talked to a lot of the pastors that I know; they're doing good. And I
So
just I'm just here to say that I love
So, what can you tell to our viewers about faith, like you said in your book? So, what can you tell in your own book that you yourself wrote? Can you share that? Because I don't have your book. I did not order in Amazon. Um, that's why I have the interview with you, so that we can get understanding of what is the books all about from you that you wrote about the faith. Share that with us. Faith is what in your own experience that you
the
can share.
question that the faith the number one chapter is called Faith Challenge.
Faith challenge, okay?
Faith challenges. And the question I asked was, what is faith?
Yeah.
Faith is trusting in what you believe. I want to go on a journey in your faith. Your faith is believing you can go higher in your life. Faith is pursuing the dreams that you want to do. Every opportunity builds around faith. Every opportunity builds around faith. And of course, and then I have a scripture right behind it that backs it up. In Hebrews 11:5 says, "To the obedient that comes from faith." Do we listen to God's commands when He tells us to go instead of saying no? Every challenge in your life takes believing in yourself that you can do it. Just like I took a lot of that from the Nike kind of there. Just do it. But in that book, you'll learn from, because I can tell you all the,
Yeah.
the chapters that I have is
Yeah.
faith keys, focus keys, future keys, relationship keys,
Mm-hmm.
leadership keys, and victory keys. The last chapter, victory keys, the question that I always ask people is, how can you be a champion?
How can you what? Say that again, Stephen. Pardon me.
How can you be a champion?
Okay. So what was your answer in that?
It's up to you.
Oh, I see. Okay, that is your last part.
Who is your players?
Uh-huh.
What's their position or title? Where's the lineup in your victory? The
Mm-hmm.
performance they play. In this book is about faith. In this chapter, we have faith in the victory of Jesus Christ. I encourage you, brothers and sisters, to apply the word in your life. This is victory challenge to you. Say this: I have the living champion in me. And you know who that is. That's Jesus. Jesus Christ is the living champion. And
That's
he's the
very
true
interesting. Yeah.
he is the true champion.
Yes. Yes.
Because in that when you read this book, you will understand everything that I said was true. It took me a long time to figure out everything that the Lord want to line in this book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, like I say, like, I don't care I don't care who you are. I'm not even looking at whatever. Um, I got all kinds of friends. Um, but the best people that I like to hang around is the church people. Why? It's
Mm-hmm.
like when I go to the church, I feel I ain't no lie. There's little kids that'll come to me, and there was one little kid that all the time he always looked at me and says, "You remind me of my daddy." I said, "Oh Lord," I said, "I ain't gonna," but that right there touches my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Some of them kids that I go to, some of them kids in the church,
Uh,
they're in broken homes,
yeah.
and they were foster parents. Some of the foster parents that I knew from my bishop, and 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 if even if you went into urban areas, or or what I call the ghetto, or the down into trailer parks, and
Mm-hmm.
they're poor, I've reached out. I mean, I have knocked on so many doors with my bishop, and I remember the day an older woman was not even close to the Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
she said the sinner's prayer, and she was completely changed that day. I will never remember the day. I said, I don't care if you're 70, 80, or 90, or 60, or 50, whatever age you are, you need Jesus.
Yeah.
That's what that was in my. I've been taught since I was small, is you will never know if you don't reach them and ask them that question. Do
Yeah.
you know Jesus?
Okay. Thank you for that. I have another question. Did your family know that you wrote a book, and did they have it, or did?
Um, my dad knew. My dad knew. He's got a copy. My dad really, really just let. He was sort of like
And what was his opinion about that book?
he said that it's this is a self-published book. Self-published book is your own words. Um, I could say different opinions.
Mm.
Because everybody's got an opinion on everything. Um, and that's just a part of life. Um,
Ay,
um,
uh-huh. My, God,
but
my God. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So,
but
so, did you uh
well, my dad was proud of me. I mean, he was proud of he. You know,
I'm
he.
sure he is. I'm sure he is. So, did you receive any feedbacks about your book? Did anybody contacted you like, "Hey, you're Mr. Batten. Thank you so much. This book is wonderful, inspiring." Did anybody connect or contact about or give you a feedback
I
about?
had a couple of people that called me and says your book has opened my eyes
Mm-hmm.
in a different direction, and they said that. I said they said thank thank me. And then I said, you ought to be thanking the one of above because I cannot change you, but Jesus can.
Right.
I said, I wrote this book but to inspire people, to encourage people. And and I said, if you can only take the words I give and put them in action, then something will happen. And I said, I said, look at the Olympics. Just give you an example. You can take one person that's on the track in basketball or gymnastics or wherever it is, and they're gonna go out and try to get what the goal. So if you can look at that, why don't you look at this book here as a belief motive for you? And when you read it, you might have to read this book a dozens of times just to get what I'm talking about. But it's just like, you know, um, but the next book,
Yeah.
this book here is just my first book. And, and, and it's,
Sorry, I should have excused myself. Ayan. Yeah. Yeah, Kuya Chewy, good evening, Kuya Chewy. How are you doing? This is Mr. Steven Batten. He is an author, and he writes books. Thank you so much, Kuya Chewy. And go ahead, Steven. Sorry about that. I got you off there. Also,
but,
my
but that's, that's what I do. That's my job is to, I have a lot of feedbacks. I have sold a lot of copies of this book. Some of them um, passed it on to people. But hey, whoever gets it. I always tell people, it says, they always ask me if they want my autograph. And I said, how are you going to get that? Well, send it to me. I'll send it right back to you. Um, um,
so what? Okay. Thank you so much. My question, another question is, so when you publish your book and it's already before it going out to the market, so do you have a big opening, a place like the bookstore that we have? I forgot what's the name of that bookstore that we have here.
The only thing I ever done when I got my first book was at the flea market. I did sell a lot of copies. Um,
You opened there. I mean, your book was being sold there, the flea
yeah,
market. I see.
yeah.
Okay.
I
How
think
many
that
copies did
day,
you ever make or published or made so you can sell it?
what was the question?
How many copies of your books?
Right now, they say I sold about in from last year, from that to here, I sold about 150 copies of this book right now. But
Wow,
the
good.
good thing about it is, it's not. I don't really care about the numbers of the book. I just care about reaching somebody with the message that I have behind the book.
Wow.
Um, I just want to inspire and to help people to know who I am. I don't want to say um, I'm not against nobody, because if I was against somebody, I wouldn't even talk to anybody. Be honest with you. Um,
Mhm.
you know how people are today. If they don't want to talk about nothing, they won't answer. Um, I'm a very nice guy. Everybody says I'm a nice guy, but then I have to put my foot down sometimes and take a stand for what I believe in, and it's called correction. Come on, I mean, I mean, it's like woke me up. Really, be honest with you, I really say to myself, it's not. I don't know how long that I will be on YouTube. If YouTube was going to say, I'm going to shut this down, what in the world would I do without, or how am I going to get in touch with Rosanna? She's gone. She's, how in the world am I going to do? But the only thing I can tell you this, every social media platform is changing their format every single day.
True.
It,
My question is, what do you prefer? You write book or you be in your platform or in your platform in your YouTube channel? Which one that you are comfortable of doing writing or being a speaker of your own platform?
well, I'll be honest with you. If I was gonna do anything, I
Mm-hmm.
would probably write, and put it on, and just keep writing.
Uh-huh.
I'll keep doing my flea market because I enjoy it, because I meet people. I take this book all the time with me. People looks at the book, and I said, "How do they can get the copy?" I'm gonna start. I got to order me a box of books, I think, and just put it out there and just to sell them out. That's what I did the first time, but it cost me $100 just to get my own book, because nothing's cheap. Nothing's. You have to buy the case of books because
But
you're.
it
So
costs a lot of money for you to printing and all that processing and all that stuff, or you've been sponsored by anybody or
not sponsor nobody, but my book is really sponsored by my bishop. He's the one that created.
uh,
But there was another. Well, he was telling me. He says, I mean, he's always giving me some wisdom, and everybody needs wisdom. Um, and he just told me, he said, just be careful out there. There's going to be some people that will tell you this and that and how good and blah blah blah. He just told me, just be careful out there. There's going to be people that try to interview you and don't do that. I mean, what he's saying that like news people or whatever, sometimes they'll end up getting the feedback. Oh, you're gonna make millions of dollars if you go on the news. Lord, I don't want that. I ain't want to go there.
Uh-huh.
But I just like I say, I'm only a lot of times I will share it um in the in to several people that I know. But a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the people that I do when I reach when I give this book to somebody or they buy it, I do some autograph in a while because they'll be they probably won't never meet me again. You never
Right.
know. But if they do want an autograph, they I have to get it here and then I have to send it to the art back to their address because that's just the only way that I can do it. Unless I'll have to buy me some books probably when it's Christmas. Maybe I'll get the books and another um, book signing.
All
Um,
right. Thank you for that. So I have another question.
mhm.
What did what did you do when feel like you are trapped in your circumstances? I mean, in the book that we're talking about that you wrote, is so can you give us that maybe enlighten us about when you are being trapped in the it's like when you feel like stumble or trapped in the circumstances. Can you give our viewers and I an answer or sharing the to enlighten us? What do you do when you feel trapped in the situation?
I always say this, even when you're there's a chapter in this book called um, a relationship. How
Really?
many times have I seen young people
Mm-hmm.
get married as soon as they get out of high school and they turn around and they get divorced? They have kids
Mm-hmm.
and they get divorced within a year. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen that happen a lot of times. When I graduated from high school, I was never thinking about going in a relationship at all. I was concentrating getting a job, making money for myself to build a relationship with someone. I have, a relationship is not just a relationship, a love relationship. It's also you can build your relationship with your boss. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a great boss. I had a great boss. I will
Mm-hmm.
never forget my friend that I was working with. I was working with him, and the next day I woke up on the news in the obituary. He died. That's how you don't never know. It
Wow.
don't matter
So you
how
do that.
I was working with him.
So
The next,
proud.
I was working with. I was doing electrician work. Do you know how hard that is?
You must be surprised. That was very unexpected that happened to your boss.
And I said,
Uh-huh.
and I shook my head. So no, and and it was okay because now here was another guy that came in, and I knew him. He went to school with me. I said, what's all these school folks coming in here?" And I started laughing. I started laughing because here comes some of my friends that I grew up in high school with, and every morning we had prayer. Every morning we had prayer. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I knew I knew I don't go. I don't hang out with friends that are party crowd. I hang
Mm-hmm.
out with
Yeah.
friends that are the
Yeah.
church crowd or
Right.
the persons that I know who I like to hang around with. But everybody asks me, says, on a relationship, and this is what I always tell somebody.
Okay. That would be nice if you can read us to your in your page of your book about that. That you can share or enlighten us about that.
A
Which.
relationship is a connection or bonding with someone.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of relation you are in, a spiritual or a messed up one? I want to talk about some basic relationship right now. To restore your relationship with a person who hurts you or just separated for years, one word in relationship is forgiveness to one another. You remember, you take that back into the biblical realm there.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't trust each other, why are you two together all the time? Think about that question. Have you seen that today, society? Oh, um, where when I was in high school, and this is the funny thing, you probably laugh at this. When you're in high school, all the girlfriends, all the girls were chasing the boys, and then the boys were chasing the girls. Then they get in a fight over a girl in the middle of the hallway, and that was me in high school. I said, look, when they get on a fight over a boy or whatever, I go the opposite direction, and because I mean I said, look, there's always other fish out there that you can get. I said, I always tell people, why would you fight over the same boy or the same girl, and there's other girls out there for you?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and that's what I didn't ever get in high school. But in this time, if a
Mm-hmm.
boy sees you dating the girl, they go, and you don't know if you're gonna be dead or alive. I seen on the news. I seen everywhere. I even see it on the channels that I watch all the time, and they talk about it. And serious guys. And then there's one word I always say this is is if you're in a relationship. Because I
Mm-hmm.
write my third book, and it's called Identify Your Relationship. Check your mate before you date.
Check your mate. Yeah, you have to check the person, the man, or the woman, before
Yeah,
you
I said.
banding or banded together or get married. Is that what are you saying?
Yeah, and this book's a little bit different. I didn't really talk about that because I did want to really bring about the love, and I want you to big, all that. I want a little bit of what a relationship. It's like a giving you an advice.
Uh-huh.
This book is inspiring advice, encouragement, but just giving you a little taste of what you're gonna be going through in your daily life, in challenges.
Right.
Now, I mean,
So your book is pretty much a little bit of everything. Is that when you say there is also about relationship of a human being, man or woman, and also there's also in a pages of children. So your
not
book
really,
is pretty
not
much everything.
because I
Can
mean,
you tell us about that?
I said this to somebody the other day.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I've seen all the soap shows in my life, all
Mm-hmm.
the soap shows in my life. When a family is in a distance, do you call or text them to see how they're doing? Do you really care? Live in the present with your family so the memories can be there with you. Because you only got that one moment with your family now,
Yeah,
not tomorrow, because tomorrow is not guaranteed.
that's correct. That is correct. That I agree with that the book that you wrote there, and you are
I
correct.
said
Tomorrow
something,
is not guaranteed. That's correct.
and and I take this back to, in this book it's got like 6 chapters. I think I got in here. It's just a little book that goes a long way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned that from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
A little nugget could go you a long way. A little nugget could go.
That's
A
correct.
little word can get you somewhere.
That's
If you believed in the word, what I say, if you take that word that I say to you, and you take it, and you do exactly what I said, because my bishop mentors me every week. We go somewhere. We go to a restaurant. 30 minutes. Blah blah blah. You know what? Does he pay his bill? No, I pay the bill for my bishop. Why? Because I believe that if my any pastor that you go to lunch, they should not pay for their meal. I believe that the people should pay for that pastor's meal because he went out of his time. Think about it. I mean, think about it. And I believe that because I learned something about giving myself. Like tonight, I'm giving myself up my time of what I want to do to get on the platform with you.
mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. It's the
Right.
time,
Yes.
spending quality time, and
Right.
that's because I might not. Well, I knew you in YouTube, but I don't know who you are in a personal way because you're far away. Well, you're not really far away. I mean, I could get on a plane and go to your state and beach if I wanted to, but that's
Right.
just. But
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Yeah,
like
I do understand. Yeah, I do understand what you mean. So, thank you for that, Steven. So, I have a question. I mean, there's a question of Ji Chang Wook here, if you don't mind that I read it to you. To Steven, what is the most difficult situation of a book writer or as a writer? I believe the difficult situation.
it's what do you want to talk about? Where do you want to begin? Um, that is really what do you want to talk about in your book? What if it's a just give you an example. You want to talk about fiction, then you go talk about fiction. If you want to talk about nonfiction, then you want to talk about nonfiction. You can talk about if you want to write a biography about yourself. I mean, and but that's just the way you got to start from in your heart what you want to write about because it don't just don't come right the instant because it took me um it took me on that one day to get the title on my book because it was tough because but that's just a way um
This is what Steven's book's all about. From challenging to a champion, how to overcome your stumbling blocks to your victories, and by Steven Batten. And these are the contents of his table content. It's what is faith? Faith is trusting in what you believe. I want to go on a journey in your faith. Your faith is believing you can go higher in your life. Faith is pursuing your dreams that you want to. Every opportunity builds around faith in Hebrews 15:11. So that is Stephen's book. It's all about. All right. Yeah. Sorry, Stephen. Go ahead. So you answer that it's when you want what you want to write, but inspired. So you already answered those questions. And I have another question. You don't mind of our how many minutes that I can have you here, Stephen?
no
Let me know if we have only short no sure 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Let me know because we have our viewers is really interested to ask questions about your book. That's why you're here. So let me know if you have only 15 minutes so I can wrap it up to questionnaire.
I have all the time in the world.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephen, for that answer. I do appreciate that. So, second question, Ji Chang will have a question here. Stephen, as a writer, my second question is, Stephen, as a writer, do you have to get into a relationship to keep writing?
And those
No. All
you
right.
write on what, like I say, like I told you before, when I was writing or want to get down to writing, I go in a separate room and I separate myself from the world. That means I separate myself from YouTube, from everybody. You talking about the lights on, but my fingers is writing. I mean, that's just the way it was. I shut off all the. Of course, well, if a phone rings and if it's my family, I answer it because if not, they'll be calling me all day. And that's just the way it is. You know, you no, you don't have to be in a relationship to write a book.
You don't have to. There you go. That's the Stephen's answer. You don't have to be in a relationship to write a book. Thank you for that answer, Stephen. Ayan. So we have another question from Irene. I have one last question, but this is for the last one that I save it for the last. All right. So from Irene, Alora Irene, asking you question. If you will write a book again, which is he has a second book that he's processing right now to finish off. What will be the title? By Irene, she's asking you.
All right. The next book that I'm writing is called Everyday Challenge in an uh, everything. Is it every? I don't even remember what the title of that book. I got it on because I ain't finished it yet, but it's everything. Everyday challenge. Every some. I know what I got. I know the book title. Um,
Something every day, or it's a
every,
challenge. So, what is the difference, the first book to your second book? Because it sounds like a similar of from challenging to victory, and now you're back to everyday challenge. Or
this is part two of this series because when when you're still a champion, there's always more challenging up ahead. There's more stuff up ahead. It's not. It's but there's a lot of this book here is myself that I'm working on. I'm not really quite finished with it yet because I won't. Like I said, I have to go back go over it a little bit, see if.
yeah,
Um,
he's in a process of writing. Alora Irene, he's in the process of writing for his second book, but he's not really sure what is the title going to be. All right. Ayan. So we have another question from Anna G. In his book, based on his experience, on your experience, or what? That is the question from Anna G to you, Stephen, Mr. Steven Batten. In your book, is based on your experience or what?
um not not really the experience. I could say it's more of giving you um a wisdom, really wisdom, and maybe a little bit of knowledge. A little bit there goes there. Um, it's sort of a, a motivation book, what you call it, really, if you have to put it that way. Um, inspiration, motivation book for anybody. I mean, you put this book into um, a businessman, doesn't read that right there. You just don't ever know how they will use that. But you know, you
And
just
some of it or part of it is based on your experience, and some from your dad and your friend and bishop, right? Is that am I correct? Like you,
some of it is from really my bishop is the one that gave me a lot of the stuff that I need to. He's the one that really helped me out on part of it, not all of it. Most of it I did it because it was my words. Because he read through my book, he said he didn't see nothing that was based on anybody but me. You know, he said that. He says I never seen somebody that took a course and didn't write a book and that's it. I mean, I mean, right in his church. I'm the first person out of his church that wrote a book. So it's like from him. And that's what I say. If you got a goal, do it.
yeah, especially when you have a mentor like that, that being a backbone, that, okay, let me, help you out and let me reread it so that things like that that help you, your bishop, it means a lot to write your first book. And I thank you for that answer, Stephen. So it means your question, Anna G, about his book based on experience or what? Some and some not. So there's another question. I'm getting interested about you becoming a book writer, Steven. So I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry. What was your questions all about? And there is from Maurice. Sir Stephen, what is your inspiration being a writer? I believe he already answered that. But if you don't mind, you can answer, Steven.
Well, that's because if it wasn't for my bishop, I probably would never wrote a book because he's the one that I was in a course in order, and that's when he asked me to write a book. It wasn't he. It was a reward to me, a reward from him, because I, um, I took, I took the action and put in the work, and when I put in that work, he says, "This you should go write a book." And I wrote and this book here is probably. He said, "You're always your first book will always be the first one that everybody will like because it gives them the because that's your first book. That's the one that you wrote first. Um, when you and but that's just the way it is. I just did it because um of the reward of the reward.
All right. Thank you, Steven. So we have another question. Steven, is there an age for those who want to start writing as a book writer? Is there any?
No, not really. I mean, you probably. I would say. I would say anybody could write a book. Um, if you're doing a self-published book, it's a little bit more better because it's you're writing it. Um, there's ways where somebody can edit your book for you and put words in that will make sense for you,
Mhm.
um, and then they can give you the book cover. But it does, like the money. The money is it's how much money you want to spend. How much do you want in that book? Like the cover could be like a standard or a glossy look. So you got to remember when it's a book, you got to choose your book, also your book cover. Your book cover could be either standard or
Hard cover or
so you,
paper cover. So
mine
oh,
mine's a paperback. So
paperback.
and that's what
Thank you for that, Steven. So we have Okay, this is a good question that I see from Irene. How do you see yourself 10 years from now as a good writer? That's a good question. How do you see yourself 10 years from now as a good writer?
I could probably see myself speaking in a lot of um, churches, um, a lot of businesses. Um, um, I just say this though. To 10 years now, I don't know what I'll be doing. To be honest with you, of course, nobody don't know. I mean, that's just a real. I mean, because I could be in and out, and but I will never get tired of writing. That because I never would. I don't think I will ever stop writing.
All right. So you never get tired of writing. So you see yourself 10 years from now is moving forward and also moving, visualizing the, you become a speaker of
Yeah,
many people. That's
and I
wonderful. That's wonderful.
and I have speaking in churches, but that's just a message. It,
There's
yeah,
nothing impossible with God, as you believe. Like you said, faith, like your book started with faith.
yeah.
So there's nothing impossible with God. Yes, that is correct. And we have another from Shane Zara. We have a question from Shane Zara. Sir Stephen, what was the most unexpected challenge you encountered while writing a book?
I could say getting everything together. That was the challenge for me writing this book, but it took a year and a half to get it. This book right here came out in the pandemic. Matter of fact, I remember it came out of the pandemic right when my bishop wrote his book. He put my book out, and I was like, I didn't know it was going to take off like people buying the book like crazy. But it's like I think the first day I sold 25 copies of the book, but I said, man, this what in
Mhm.
the world? Because the more you share out and tell people about your book, then people's going to buy that book. The more you share out and tell people about
Right.
your book. And so what I did was I took this book and I put it in the church, and I sold a few copies in the church.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not really, I'm not really going to say whoever gets the book. I hope it helps them to understand um, what it's all about. Um, maybe they're going through something. You don't ever know what people is going through. That one little word will just go a long way. It's like what I said earlier. That little nugget can go a long way. That little word just
yeah.
that's just yeah.
And especially the words from the mouth, it's fast. It's like a fire, wildfire that just, you know,
Continue on.
continue on. That's correct. Because I remember when something I applied something, and then they asked in the form like, how did you hear us? Oh, actually that was the tax. When I went to social services to file my income tax. So they asked, how did you find us? Word of mouth or from Amazon, from whatever. So the word from mouth is more than likely is fastest that can share. And that's why your book is being sold a lot once you are there in the flea market. And I thank you for that answer. Ayan, Shane, that's the answer of Steven. So, hello, Ati Mactan. And now one more question. That way, Steven, one more question from, hello, Ati Mactan. Ayan, si Ati Mactan. I have one more question from Ji Chang. As a book writer, Has it ever happened to you that you want to give up or stop writing because you think that no one will read what you wrote?
I never thought about that at all because I never thought that nobody would buy my book. I knew somebody was going to buy my book. I believe this. I always believe in myself that whenever I write something, people is going to buy it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like I'm a full-time reseller in the flea market. I believe that somebody was going to buy something today because I never stopped believing because I have the faith inside of me. And when that never is going to stop. That never going to stop because I'm a salesman, I'm a writer, but also I'm a worker in the field. Just put them three in action. And, because my dad taught me a lot when I was young
Mm-hmm.
is be respectful to people. Treat them just like your own family. And I always have. I always will.
Mm-hmm.
And and if you see something, what do? You see something that's terrible, you see something, you say something to somebody
Mm-hmm.
because it's a lot of things. And but I really have to say this: I'm always going to write. I'm not going to stop.
You're always gonna write. That is you're more comfortable that I asked earlier, right?
Hmm.
So I have one last question. I think it's that answer your question, Ji Chang. So thank you for that, Steven. So one question, because Ati Mactan, she just came in. So she has a question. What is the narrative of your book is all about to write?
It's all about believing in yourself to overcome things in your life. Probably overcoming things that you're dealing with in the past. Um, when I and also it's not only that; it's almost like a witness book to somebody because at the end of the last chapter is called victory. Do you know that last chapter right there is the most important chapter that's in this book because it starts about faith, then it talks about focus, then it talks about future, then it talks about relationships, then it talks about leadership, and then the victory. If you take all them things right there, that victory one is going to really open up the door to people, to me. The last chapter is what's going to open up the door to the people's minds. They're going to be shocked. Because my bishop said, that last chapter, I almost cried. And I always say this because it touches their heart. And I believe that it touches my bishop's heart because I accomplished something that I never thought I would never done. And and he's proud of me and he always stood by me. He says, "Your son," he always says this, his son, no matter where you do, no matter where you go, I'm gonna be with you. Because you know why he said that? Because he's got my support. That I'm a backup. And if I ever need him, I could call him. And it's like we're friends. He's my pastor, but you know, he's just somebody that he's my mentor, be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather have somebody like that in my life.
All right. Ayan. So may Ate Mactan na answer from Steven. Oh, she have one more and another from Anna G. From Ate Mactan, what is that? Vaghan, your experience upon writing this book. What is the most unethical practice in the publisher you have encountered? I think what is the most unethical practice in the publisher you have encountered is more than uh, you- Vag, van, something your experience upon writing this book. I think na mixed yan that based on experience. The most, what is the most unethical practice in the publisher you have encountered? Have you encountered those kind of unethical actions, mouth, whatever, this to discourage you not to proceed to publish your book, something like that?
No, not really. No, no. Um, because it was all done through me and my bishop because he write books. So he asked. That's when it because this right here. This is my first book. So it was a reward. Instead of giving me a certificate, he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Once you write your first book," even though he's going to give me a certificate anyhow. Um, but it just don't. This right here has a meaning to me, like a memory to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a certificate, that's just going to hang up on the wall or somewhere in the closet. Um, you know, but he said you done this because you earned it. You went out and you did what you because I took a course and I did and I passed it with flying colors. Had to do a lot of essays. Oh Lord, and that's the reason why. And I'm proud that I wrote this book because I feel like when you achieve something and you accomplish something,
Mm-hmm.
you did it because I was after this. I went after this, and I did it.
It's like your hard work is paid off, and then you want to do it more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
understand
now
that.
I'm addicted. I'm addicted to writing. So I have to say it.
Yeah, to encourage more, to write more, to do more, because you got the trophy first trophy. Of course, you want more trophies, right? Yeah, and thank you for that, Steven. So I have one more last question, if you don't mind, because I don't want to hold you up. I know it's dinner time. Okay. My one last question is, what can you tell to our viewers about your first book to the difference of your second book? And that is my last and final question.
What was the question that you asked?
What can you tell to our viewers about your first book, the difference between the first and the second book that you are going in process right now? So, is there anything like to exciting there? Is there some kind of a Holy Ghost dancing and kind of to serious or serious like the first book? What are the difference between the first and the second? Thank you.
The second one is well, the first one is just your challenge to your
Mm-hmm.
victories. Whatever you've been through, whatever
Right.
um, your victory is whatever your victories. But I always say, I mean, the second book that I'm writing is it's called Everything Challenge in an Everyday World. Because every day you're challenged with something every day. Every day. You're challenged. When you wake up in the morning, you cut on the news, what the first thing you'll see when you wake up in the morning is something that's going to challenge your mind, and your mind will go right off the wall, off the deep end. That means, I mean, especially when you got kids and you got to get ready for school, your mind is focusing on getting them kids ready and getting them to school. That's the first thing that's
Yeah.
on them. That's you know, and that's the first thing that I can see. What I'm going to do on this first, the second book might be something a little more easier for me because I already know what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm already needs to be done. I will never stop writing. I will never stop preaching the word. I mean, of course, I got you know, my dad. My dad's always saying to me, he says, son, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, you got Jesus everywhere. Jesus is right behind you. He's right in front of you. He's right beside of you. He's in your car. He's in your house. He's at the flea market. Matter of fact, he was at the flea market. He was correcting people in the flea market. So that's where the church begins. So he said that, the first person that recognized Jesus from the tomb was a woman named Mary Magdalene. She was the first person in my book that's the first person that was the spokesman. She was the spokeswoman for the disciples because he said, "Go tell the disciples that I'm risen from the grave and tell them to meet me at the Sea of Galilee so he can give them a message." And that's the same thing as this book. This book, all that is a message. And I give that to anybody. You can read all the books in the world,
Right.
but did they give you a really true message? Just like you did the chicken soup of the soul. Did you know that this author here, or them people
The
here,
soup for the
sold
soul.
millions of these copies?
Yes.
I'm not like them, but I got my book, my own book that I do. Everybody's different.
Oops. Ayan guys, that is the Steven's book from the challenge to champion. Ayan. Ayan, Mr. Steven Batten, we thank you so much for this interview that you give us or give me the opportunity in Rosalina, our channel with Ji Changwook Atimaktan, that you give us the time, the opportunity to interview you. And we thank you so much for this wonderful day and wonderful evening for
Yeah.
answering the questions. So um, I would like to promote your book, which is it's very interesting to read and very encouraging. It teach us about the faith and how to become a champion.
Yes.
And ayan guys, that is give a big clap hands to Mr. Steven Batten and thank you Steven for the time that you spend with us and you give us the um, good answer and I am interested to buy your book and I can order it. You can promote your book right here, or I can say you can order the book from Amazon, and that is the title of his book is from challenging to to a champion, and it's open up about the inspiration behind his writing. So that is Mr. Stephen Batten. Ayan. Thank you, Steven, for a wonderful night and interview. You can give, so it's your last word. I will be here listening to you and to
Well,
our listeners.
I appreciate everybody giving me the questions or whatever. I'm glad to share about my book. Hope I could do it again. Maybe the next one, maybe hopefully get by the end of Christmas. I hope. Um, but sometimes it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time when you're writing a book. Because I could be at the flea market and something hit me, and then I got to write it down, and then that overthrows me over in the flea market. but 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 that's all right because everything's gonna come together, and I appreciate the time that you're giving me, Rosanna. That I don't even remember the last time I went up on a platform. Um, but but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this time with be with you. So
Ayan. Anna G said, thank you so much, Sir Stephen, for sharing your thoughts, words of wisdom, and be an inspiration to new generation today. Wow, Alura Nadia, love it. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. All right, guys, and this is our guest, is Mr. Steven Batten, a writer, an author, a writer, and his second book is coming up, and he said it will be published December of this year. So abangan natin. We will wait for that second book. So we have another segment to be prepared for another interview about his book. And thank you and have a good evening, Mr. Steven. And this
Have a
is
good day.
and please follow his channel, Steven
Yes.
Adventure. Thank you
Yes.
guys.
Have a blessed night.
Have a blessed night.
Bye bye.
Bye, Steven.
Bye bye, Rosa.
All right. Ayan, that is Mr. Steven Batten. It's been a wonderful to interview him of his expertise or experience, and also from since he was a child up until now. So all that book is very inspirational, encouraging, and that book it's not only tells in one story. It has a lot of in pages of um, the story of faith, about the children, about relationship, about business, and become a victorious at the end. So from challenges to victorious. And this is Rosalina, our channel, as your host of today. And this is Rosalina R with Ji Chang Wook and Ati Mactan. And have a blessed night, everyone. And thank you down there, viewers down there in the comment section. Thank you so much for your question, and he answered. Thank you for your support, for your coordination, for your comments there. Thank you so much for that interacting. You interact with the host and our guest. Thank you so much. It means a lot to this channel because we guys need to improve our own platform. And this is Rosalina, our channel with Ji Chang Wook and Ati Mactan. Have a blessed night. Good night, everyone.